Me co-host.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, welcome to LeadSnap.
Oh man, it
We're
always
excited
does
to
that.
have you.
I don't know, I can't get that YouTube thing to work. What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Good.
Right on. Steven, what's up, brother?
Not a
Good,
whole lot.
Graham. What's that?
Not much. Just some wild weather happening outside, but that's all right.
Where are you located again?
I'm in Chicago right now,
Okay.
but just like super windy and severe storms coming through. But hopefully the connection will hold out.
Yeah, this might be a good time to go to Barcelona, man. Cool. All right. What about Greg? How's it going, man?
Good.
Right on. And Graham's got some, what do we got here? Some Pulp Fiction guy who's watching rocket ships. That's interesting. Graham is always making these awesome referrals to me for different software. That guy, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for all those that you always send over. I'm checking out this one he sent over called Rise, which kind of monitors your productivity. Not really, I just installed it yesterday, but got some high hopes for it. It looks pretty cool. Let's see, we got Chuck, we got Patrick, we got Michael and Kevin. Cool, just throw in the chat, guys. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. And let's get into wins. Who's got some wins for this Wednesday? Nobody? Am I not teaching good stuff? I'm hoping that my hold on one sec. I've got some people. I'm in Barcelona now, so that's a win. And what that comes with when you move into like a really cool, busy place is you have random people outside your window making a bunch of noise at 1:30 in the morning. Hey babe, would you mind shutting that window for me? Yeah. Cool. All right. So we put a poll in there today, and I saw what a lot of you guys are struggling with. I think we'll do this more often, and we're going to really start to build our content around this stuff. So if you guys didn't participate in it, I would recommend participating, because the squeaky wheel is going to get the grease here, right? We're going to try to help as many people as we can, but we don't always know who that is until you guys like chime in and let us know. So one of the I did it in both groups, and it seems like the biggest thing right now is ranking GMB. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. I know that some other people, another popular one was finding GMB. So I'm going to go through both of those today. If any of you guys are in Barcelona, Paris, or London over the next few weeks, hit me up. I'd love to meet up with you guys. There was a lot of people who reached out and that I met up with. We were in New York City last week, which was awesome. Got to meet up with Cesar Zuniga, Randy Jerome, Ashley DePiano, Liel. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone else. Oh, and then we had just like some other random friends, but it was really cool to meet people from the group that, you know, our relationship prior to this was completely online. So, you know, it's no one ever looks like you expect them to, right? People are taller or shorter or whatever, but it's really cool to build these relationships and really dive into people's businesses and hear what they have going on. So if any of you guys are in these cities that we're going to be in, then you know, just reach out to me, and maybe it will work, maybe it won't. One of the requests that I'm hearing more of is to have some live events. So I think we will be organizing that. I don't have a date on any of this stuff yet. Our life is a little bit up in the air right now as we're kind of traveling, but you know, our plan is to go back to Nashville, and at that point we'll be getting a little bit more stability, and I think we're going to organize some sort of event for some time, maybe in the Nashville area. So really excited for that. Let's see. All right, cool. All right, so one of the things I want to go into today is, and we've had quite a few more people tune in. Jeff, are you monitoring the Facebook stuff? Do we have any wins? Guys,
Yes,
share your wins if you got them.
Rafael says he got 2 business owners hooked with trials. So
That's good.
It sounds good. Sounds super positive.
Yeah. That's awesome. Congrats, Rafael. It's, you know, I feel like once you get someone on a trial, it's just really a question of, are they good at what they do? If you have leads coming in, because if they are, then it usually works out. And, you know, we obviously, like, not everyone that comes on it as a trial is going to work out, but a big part of the hard problem is done. You know, we have a guy in Grand Rapids right now that he's underpaying, and he's kind of been like difficult over the last few months. So I've got Jeff prospecting for someone to replace him with, and getting, you know, kind of getting someone in there to pay you some money and take some leads is really good. And it gives you kind of the opportunity, if they're not a great fit, then you're the one that owns the asset, and it's up to you to go and find somebody else. Like if they're not a good fit, that's a fine thing to do. You're not locked into them. We don't have contracts. So, you know, we set the expectations at the beginning and tell them what we're looking for. And if they're not living up to that, whether they think they are or not, it's our decision to try to go another direction. What you don't want to have is some sort of like problem client, because that's just going to go on forever. That's not going to change, right? So
the problem with this guy, real quick, is that he's not really following up well enough and closing enough to make it worth the money that we know it's worth. So he doesn't get the value, so we don't get the value. So that's not a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I think it was Vadim who earlier, he was sending me a couple messages, and he was talking about he's got a client that the guy's not closing, he's not good at closing. And whenever you see this problem, like, it's about to be your problem, right? Because the person's not going to be able to pay you, right? It might not seem like it's your problem yet, or you may have this attitude of that's on them. Well, it is on them, but they're not going to pay you. So it's your problem, right? It's going to be your problem. You kind of have two different decisions, two different routes you can go. Is this something that can be fixed? How far do you want to go with this? One of the things that, you know, I'm studying a lot right now with the new program that I joined is client success, right? And we're putting a lot of stuff in place for client success. And, you know, I've been approaching this. My original intent for approaching this company that's coaching me was to help with the software products, right? To make, you know, LeadSnap or lead generated better. And it's really obvious, though, that the lessons here can be applied to both of our businesses, right? So that extends on to you guys, client success. What are you guys doing? Because like the way they define client success is it's kind of the bridge between sales and support. And with the rank and rent model, we kind of have this mindset that we don't want to, I mean, the beauty of it is its passive nature, right? And I'm not saying to go against that. I'm not saying to put in so much that it's not going to be passive anymore. But at the same time, you want to make sure that your product and the service that you're providing is structured in a way that is leading to the success of your clients, because that's where the long-term value comes from. So with you guys, what we're doing on our end is we're looking at a lot of different things. For like with our platform, there's so many different ways that people can use it, right? Some people are in there taking full advantage of like the website connections, which if you're using the platform, I highly recommend. I think it is one of the most important parts of the entire system, if not the most important part. But some people don't even have that. Some people are using the heat maps to understand where their GMBs are, find ways to rank it. Some people are prospecting with it. Others are really focused on reputation management. We have people that are taking advantage of the Google Analytics stuff. Some people that are getting started are just kind of like diving into the due diligence part. So we didn't really have a way to monitor that. And we're trying to build that in and have customized outreach based on actions that happen within the system, right? So if we can do a better job onboarding you guys, and if we can do a better job like getting you to the point where you're getting value from the software, then you're going to take it, you're going to stay longer. So if we kind of extrapolate some of this and take that mindset to our clients, I think you're going to get a lot better result. And what I don't want you guys to do is get into this mentality of kind of going down with the ship. If you have the wrong person, then it's the wrong person. Right? If they're not willing to change, if they're not willing to do the work, they can't answer the phone, all these different things that can go wrong. I'm not saying to stick with it, but make sure that you're offering a product and a service that kind of gets them their desired result, because that's what they're paying for. They come in, they have this idea of what their desired result is, and they're paying for this as a solution to that. And you need to make sure that it's helping them every step of the way. What can you do to make their life easier? If you do that, you're going to have a lot less churn, right? And if you're not churning through your clients, then your business is going to grow. What you don't want is like, hey, I've got like 10 clients, I land my 11th client, I lose a client, and I'm back to 10, right? So that's a big problem, right? If you can get rid of any of that churn, and for some of you guys that are doing SEO, that is going to be a more challenging task. I think the churn rate in SEO is a lot higher, and that's personally why I avoid it. But that doesn't, there's a ton of people that are really successful with it. You just need to be considering what can you do to reduce this churn. One of the things that we're going to be building into the system is something called an NPS, or a Net Promoter Score. If you guys haven't seen that, that's it's those, you guys have all seen it. You might not know what it is, but those little like surveys that come to you that say, hey, how likely are you to rate this from refer this from 1 to 10, right? So having your clients fill this out maybe quarterly can help you understand where they are, and then do something, be proactive. If you think, hey, we're sending you a lot of leads, and that should be happiness. That's not always the case. We've lost clients that we raised the rent on clients, and they weren't able to take full advantage of the leads that we were sending them. So they were not able to pay what the leads were worth. And, you have to be keeping a pulse on this. So another couple changes that I'm going to make is I want to really start to have kind of like a intent that is broadcast out prior to the meetings. So we're getting a lot more structured with our meetings, with our plans and what we're pushing out. So we'll say, hey, next Wednesday is actually, it's going to be like the client closing class, right? So that way we're not all just kind of coming into this not knowing, you don't like, hey, I'm going to tune in and I'm going to get some value, maybe or maybe not. So we are going to be a lot more proactive with kind of sending you guys emails. You have the option to unsubscribe if you find them annoying. But some of the things that we're going to be putting in those is really the wins that you guys share on this. The way I view this is kind of a community, right? Where we're all kind of moving forward together. So we're going to share the wins and broadcast those. We're going to go over the updates that we have within the platform, as well as any highlights from the call. And then probably what will also be included is what will be our focus for the next week, right? So for next week's call, what I'm committed to doing, I think next week's call it's going to be the 23rd, right? So next week's call, what I'm committed to doing is we're going to focus on, we're going to renew the accountability groups for those that have been involved in that. We've got a ton of good feedback from people that really like it, to have multiple people that have requested that we do it again. Honestly, we just kind of set up the structure on that, and then you guys have run with it. I've kind of chimed in the groups that are active here and there when I see something that I think I could provide some beneficial advice. Looks like we have a question coming in here. Patrick, please talk about how you keep clients happy. I will. I'm going to come back to that in just a minute, Patrick. I want to get through this. So a part of next week's call is I want to really focus on planning out the year. So we need to get ready for 2022. So we're about 15 days away, 16 days away, depending on what part of the world you're in. So what are we going to do to get ready for it, right? There's a lot of numbers and science that go into this. They say that it's 30. I was doing some research, and I was actually on another call earlier, see what the number is. 39.5% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down. Okay. And then 76 more likely to achieve the goal if you write it down and you have a way to track it. Okay. So I want to try to provide you guys with the system where we can do this. How do we set things up for success in 2022? So this is what next week's call is I'm going to like put together kind of a presentation on what we're going to do in our agency. I'm kind of drawing from a lot of different things. I've been studying this, reading this. I've got multiple coaching programs that I'm involved in, and I'm kind of building this. And this is something that I've done a lot in the past, but we're always refining. So one of the important things that when you're tracking is you want to be analyzing this. I don't think doing it daily, kind of analyzing your tracking, doing it daily might be too much, but there's certainly benefits associated with it. Doing it weekly, I wouldn't want it to go more than a week without analyzing this, because what you need to be doing is you really need to be kind of like, let's say, like if you increase the frequency of reflection, that allows you to make course corrections more often, right? And the more course corrections that you can make, the more likely you are to stay on pace, right? So it's huge. And when you kind of like stretch that out over time, it makes a huge difference. So kind of putting together a system where I want you guys to start thinking for next week. I'm going to give you guys kind of like a document that you guys can fill out. And what I want that to look like is we're going to set some kind of like 10-year goals, 3 years, 2 years, and 1 year. So 1 year really needs to be, that's where you kind of want to spend the most time, right? You want to spend this time on 1 year. 2, 3, 10, just like, hey, there's some guesswork going on in there. We know that things are going to change a year from now, but getting it out there and working backwards and not being like so focused on kind of the carrot that's right in front of you so that you don't really have a plan of where you're going is important, right? If you're building this business for longevity, then like 10 years is a part of that, right? Unless you like, I don't know, I haven't interacted with anyone that's saying like, hey, I really don't want to have this business 10 years from now. Like if this is a passive business that is like the way I view it is I want this to be a part of my retirement, right? I want this to be something that is always like producing for me. So that includes a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years, 10 years from now, right? So we have to write this stuff down, right? If we know that it's like 40% more likely for something to occur when we write it down, and it's 76% more likely to occur if we write it down and track it. Well, it's got to start with goals, right? And then we can work backwards. So we really need to get our goals in place. And, you know, if some of you guys maybe kind of have this idea already, right? And we'll get into this more. What I don't want you guys to do when you're thinking of these goals is I don't want you guys to think like, hey, I want to make $1 million in 2022. That's not the goal so that's kind of like a milestone. The goal can be something like, hey, you know, if you're a guy, you're probably more focused on like, this is the car I want to drive, and you know, demographics, like maybe women are going to be more focused on, this is the house that I want to live in, more stability type things. So like, that's just seems to be the way, that's the goal that we want, right? That's the goal that the milestone is like, hey, I need to have this amount of money to be able to achieve that goal. But if you tie it to some like arbitrary financial goal that isn't in alignment with something that's bigger or more important than that, then it's like your motivation, I think it's done wrong, right? So be thinking about it in those terms. So come up with like, hey, this is how I want my life this is what I want my life to look like, right? So what are the milestones that are going to get you there? And the way that the milestones need to work and the way that you need to set this stuff up is you need to think in terms of milestones that if you achieve these milestones, then it's impossible for you to miss your goal. Okay. So we're going to dive into this more next week, but this is kind of the training that I've started preparing for next week. We're also going to get into more of the stuff from the poll, the results of the poll. So if you guys haven't voted, go and do that. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that. So that's a part of our client success. You guys using our software, participating in our group, you guys are our clients, right? So what can we do to make you guys successful? That's providing you with, you know, the best information, right? Preparing you guys to get value and be successful, not only with this business model, but you know, taking advantage of the software. So one of the things, we do a meeting every Monday. I was traveling this Monday, so we actually did it Tuesday. And we went over, we have a new plan. So we've done all these lives, right? We've done like almost a year's worth of lives. And then we've had all sorts of value videos that we've dropped in along the way, but they're all just kind of like one long stream inside of Facebook. So what we're doing is we're going to move these inside the platform. And I guess we're going to duplicate these and put them inside the platform. So they're not going to be removed from Facebook, but, and we're going to split the videos based on the topics, right? So if this is about like GMBs, then like you'll have an entire library in there. And this can be like the GMB library. Here's client, here's like team management, all these different topics. And also as part of this poll, we'll build out kind of some value videos and try to bring in some like expert guests towards this stuff. So that's kind of some of the strategies that we're working towards. And this is also a part of that client success is let's build the platform in a way where it's easy for you guys to find what you need. I know that there's a lot of you guys that are posting questions within the group that are kind of, asking things that like we've covered a bunch of times, but because of the format that it's in, maybe it's not easy to find it, right? So anyone that has a subscription will have access to these types of videos. For those of you guys, I think the way we're going to be doing it is we're definitely going to be building A to Z training in there with stuff that's not covered on the Facebook video. So that will be kind of for those that have subscriptions, you'll have some access to lots of things that the Facebook group won't necessarily have. So the way I'm considering it is like, hey, maybe like if you're in the starter package, you'll get access to like the beginner lessons, right? And as you move into the higher levels, then you're going to get access to the entire library. And our plan is to build out this kind of like Netflix model of all sorts of different lessons. And it's not just going to be from me, it's going to be from anyone that I think can add value. We can bring that in there. Another update I wanted to share with you guys is the white labeling. I know that we had hoped to kind of get that out the end of November, beginning of December, and we've just kind of run into a couple bumps along the road, but we are really close. I think today is the day, Thursday for us, that we will start testing things. And after we've gone through testing, then we plan to release it. So I think we're pretty much done with the development phase of things. We've done all the mock-ups. We've kind of got it designed. We're about to launch it and do testing. Once we're comfortable with the testing, then we'll be releasing it into the platform. There will be a fee for it. I'm still kind of like kicking around what that fee will be. You guys don't have to do it, but if you would like to be able to kind of resell this without people knowing, then I would assume it would be very worth it. So we are going to be building the training will not be a part of the white label part of it. So there won't be a way for people that are watching the training to like, oh, they just said LeadSnap, what's that? Let me go look at it. They won't have access to that, or we'll give you guys the ability to turn it on and off so that maybe you can show it to some people and not to other people. It's up to you. So we're just kind of working through the final steps there. All right, cool. So let me catch up on some of these messages here. All right, so we've got Patrick. Please talk about how you keep clients happy through giving reports. Walk through on reports. Do you track keyword rankings for GMBs and reports to client? Probably not, since your rent leads and the GMBs are yours and secret. Or do you track the calls and they get monthly reports or weekly? How do you satisfy clients and save yourself time too? Good question, Patrick. So you kind of answered part of the response to the first part of the question is we don't give them keyword reports or anything like that because they're not paying. We're not doing SEO. It's rank and rent, right? So what they're paying for is leads. That's what they're paying for. So that's kind of what we keep track of. I had mentioned this in a previous call that, and I'm going to start building some of this stuff into the system. So it's concept of a North Star metric. That's really what we're really going to be focused on. So for us, the one that we're going to start with, North Star metric, is like, hey, what is the number? What is a number that we can create, or a ratio that we can create within our business that when this number goes up, it indicates that our business is moving in the right direction and our clients are getting value, right? So for you guys, I'm kind of working on that. What is like, let like for people using the platform, what would be some strategies that I could use to ensure that, hey, when people are doing this, they are getting value from products. So it could be the number of users that are active in more than one module on a daily basis. That's one of the ones I've been thinking about for this platform, is like, how can I ensure that, like, if maybe it's the number of users that are active for one, but I think if someone is using two different parts of the application, then like they're getting extreme value from the system. So what we came up with for our agency is the average amount of leads per paying client, right? So how, like, the clients that are paying, people that are not on trials, and not including like the websites that aren't rented, what is the average number of leads that this person is getting? And maybe you would even want to make that ratio of like, well, like if you made it leads per dollar, that would mess everything up. So like, I don't know if that's going to be the final version of it, but having a number that we can track and I can get reported on a daily basis, and our whole team is aware of, and everyone's kind of like focused on improving this number, and that number means that our clients are getting more value, right? So if I have a client that's getting like 10 leads, and then he's getting like 30, and then he's getting like 50 or 100, like when we at some point, and the niche is going to be relevant. Like if he is a tow truck company, that's very different than if he is like building swimming pools, right? If he's getting 100 leads a month and he's building swimming pools, then that's client's going to be very sticky, right? It's going to be really hard for them to leave. So that's why I think that's an important number to monitor. Okay, so that's as far as like the reports, I have a reporting module that's we're in the process of building now, and we're going to automate the delivery of that. And that's going to be very customizable. It's not going to be something that is limited to like rank and rent business model, right? So it's going to allow you to blend all the different parts of the system into these reports, and then brand them and send them out at the frequency that you would like. So that means that you could put your own logo. If you haven't added your email address, so you can essentially send from your email account within our system. The leads that you're sending to your clients could be delivered that way. If they're not being done, I would recommend that, or like with one of the automations, right? So being able to send out these reports, you could brand it and send it out to your client. Maybe that's once a week, where it's like, hey, here's the number of calls that came in. Here's the number of form submissions. Here's the total number of leads. If you're doing SEO or like GMB optimization, maybe you want to include the heat map average, right? Or Google Analytics. You could have, hey, here's the traffic that's going to your site. Here's the number of new people that are coming to your site. So all these different parts and pieces of the system. If you're doing reputation management, it could be like, hey, here's the number of reviews that got added this week. So all these different parts and pieces from the entire platform blended into one report, and you can set the frequency for that. So what I would recommend with this is, and we don't have this in place because we don't have that module built out. What I do have is I have Jeff on my team, who's kind of like our client success for our agency. So he's kind of checking in with the clients and making sure that they're happy, and touching base with them. And this has resulted in a lot of expansion revenue for us. So guys, like when I say expansion revenue, that means more revenue from your existing clients. Okay. So that doesn't mean getting a new client. That's new revenue. New expansion revenue is like expanding on what you guys already have. So an example would be, you guys all signed up for the CRM, and then the expansion revenue would be like if you guys upgraded to a new plan, or if you guys set up the phone system, right? So that's kind of the difference. So this client success and having Jeff talk to these clients on a regular basis has resulted in a lot of expansion revenue for us. Once you guys have this, once you have satisfied clients, it's a lot easier to expand them than it is, because they trust you, right? They've seen what you're capable of. They know that you can deliver, that all of that stuff is kind of like out of the way. That's a big barrier to a sale, right? So that it makes complete sense as to why, why it's easier to expand. Like for some of you guys had no knowledge of that. We had a ton of people sign up for the phone system so far, right? You guys had no knowledge of my ability to like our phone system, my ability to build the phone system. We gave you demo, but you trusted us because you like, hey, we're using CRM. we love the CRM. Like I already, like that confidence, compare that to what it would be like when you're signing up for a new phone system. Or maybe some of you guys are moving from a phone system where they've violated your trust in one way or another. And like just that different mindset, your clients have the same mindset towards you. This is why it's important to have this kind of like client success mentality in there. So we like internally though, Patrick, we do track the keywords. What we're doing, and in our weekly meeting this last week, what I told my team is like, I want every single Google My Business to be running once a week in our heat map, right? And I get it, like I'll be honest, in our agency, we have unlimited heat maps, right? So I'm not charging myself for that. So I'm running every single Google My Business. I'm running, I don't think we set it for a week. I think we set it for like every 10 or 12 days or something. So it's going to cycle through everyone and put the keywords in there, and we're going to track that. And I want a report every week on how that Google My Business is ranking. And then one of the really cool parts about the reporting system that's coming out is the ability to have trends. So that way you can kind of see this, hey, this is how it was this week versus like last week, or set whatever custom period you want, right? So it's important for us to be able to identify this stuff. So that's kind of what we're doing for tracking things. I don't know if that fully answered all the parts of your question. We do track the calls.
Clarify, Patrick, Spencer's asking, can you have the report automatically sent out? I believe you said yes.
Yeah, that's right. Rescheduling is a part of it. Let me just see if I can bring up this. We haven't built it out yet, but our process is always to it's to design it and kind of like work through the issues and then build it. So we're in between right now where we've got the design and we have a mock-up in place. I just need to find the link. Jeff, do we have any more questions while I look for this?
Patrick was asking a question about phone numbers, but yes, Patrick, we do use different phone numbers. Not necessarily, we use different phone number on each GMB, but one of the GMB numbers would be on the site. And then we also use different numbers for paid ads so that we can see where that traffic is coming from and control that a lot better. So yes, that was the only question.
Okay, cool. 1 second here. All right. Yeah, I've gone over this a couple times in the past, but let's kind of get into it, Spencer, and let's check it out and see what it looks like. Jeff, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Okay, so hopefully this is the latest version of our mockup. It looks a little different. Okay, so let me just go here. Nope, this isn't the latest version. Give me 1 second here, guys. Let me stop this share. I wasn't prepared to present this part of it today, so just bear with me. If you have any more questions while we are on here, anybody really struggling with something in your business, throw it in there. We may not get to it right this minute, but at least it will be in the queue. Reporting functionality. There we go. Okay, cool. I got it. All right.
Hey, Patrick, any idea when the phone system will be able to fully connect to the CRM dashboards?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can have that done by Friday. I know we've been working hard on that one. So man, it's still not the right report. It's weird. Yeah, so I'm hoping we can get that out this week sometime. If not, it'll be the beginning of next week. Filters. Okay, I guess I'll just go through the old version. I don't know where the latest version of it is. We've got some improvements to the UI on this one. Let's see here. And then it's okay. All right. Let me share the screen again. Sorry for these delays, guys. Screen number 2. Okay, cool. All right, so this is just like kind of an example of a GMB report, and my designer makes this for my big screen at home, and this I'm on a laptop, so we've got this, like this would be condensed into fit on your screen depending on how many columns that you had. So you can kind of see we have this, all these different columns, and you've got more to choose from here. So you can, this is a GMB report. If you, let's just go back a step. Okay, so this would be kind of your reports when you first come in here. You'll see your list of reports. So you have the option to view it, to duplicate it, or delete it. Up here, you can create a new report. So if I create a new one, it's going to ask you for kind of the what are we going to be talking about? We have to have like a point of reference. What's going to be the main focus here? So you can see you can choose between companies. So companies would be like, let me get some information and we're going to list it by company, right? Or by GMB or by leads. So a lead report might be one that you would want to send out to your clients, right? So each one of these kind of has a different set of columns that's going to be available for it. And then we have another one that's not on here, which is, I was looking for the updated one, is the summary. So the summary maybe is something that you guys would use internally, where it's like, hey, show me my my leads over the last 30 days by company, and I want to include all these other facts about this, right? So if I jump in and we'll start off with the GMB one. We were just kind of looking at that one. So you can kind of see we've got the number of reviews, the status, the number of pictures, the completion percentage. This is their description, the number of questions. There's your heat map average, right? Any tags that you have in place there, your phone number, all this different information. You can bring in your insights data, right? So on that last tab right now, where we have like the amount of searches that have happened, such as a branded search, right? These are, that should say replied, not applied, reviews, not replied. So kind of giving yourself like a customizable dashboard where you can get information on this and blend it all together. And we're going to just keep on building this. And then we're going to be introducing dashboards, which are going to be kind of like reports where you can set up a number of different dashboards based on this blended information, because I think it's great to have all this information, but we need to present it to people in a way where it's easy to access and you can customize it and have all this kind of value in there. You look up here, we have this compare option. So this is where you can start to compare periods, right? Where I could say, hey, I want to look at, hold on one second. This thing's a little wonky right now. What do I have to do? Okay, there we go. So I could, oops, it disappeared. So this isn't the actual site. This is just some mock-up software that we use. Okay, so you can kind of see, I could compare the stuff on here to a different time period. And then I could see right here, I could say like, hey, leads have increased by 40%, right? That little green arrow is saying that it's gone up. So this is, like I said, there's some changes that are coming here, but this is kind of the plan that we have, right? And then you can export this, right? So this is where you could have this branded report. All this stuff here is customizable, right? I could enter in whatever information, like I can decide what I want to take away and include within this. So I don't know if this version of the mockup, and then we have the scheduling. So you could decide when this is going out. You could say, hey, I want this to go out every so many days, weeks, whatever. I can include it to, so this would be a list of your existing clients. And if you wanted to send this somewhere else, then you can do that here, right? So that's kind of like the system that we have in place. So we have this not only for the GMBs, we have this for, I think there's 5 categories right now, but we're going to keep adding to these, right? So users would be like your clients. If I want, maybe I want to have a report that is like, how many leads are getting sent? Maybe I've got 5 websites for one client. So maybe I want to run a users report where it's a list of my clients and then I can see the amount of leads that the client received. Or if I want to view it by company, then I can do the company one, right? Or if I want it to be like the lead information, such as like Bob Jones requested this like fence installation, then that might be one that you send to your actual clients, right? And then the GMBs, maybe that's a reporting that's used to send to your clients, like Patrick was asking for, or maybe it's something that's used internally that you just look at every Friday, so that it gives you a better opportunity to keep a pulse on your company. So that's kind of what we have there for the reporting. Looking to get this one out in the next few weeks. It could be the beginning of the next year though. All right, cool. So Jeff, did we pick up any more questions during that? Are we good?
No, we're good.
Okay, right on. Okay, so what I want to cover today, and I'm going to get into this more in depth next week, is some of the strategies for like GMB ranking. I know that was one of the popular ones, and like getting GMBs. Okay, so I'm going to start with getting GMBs and then we'll go to ranking. Okay, so one of the strategies that, like, I know that a lot of you guys, we kind of have 3 or 4 strategies that we use in our agency, and we've turned this into a process. I'm going to build out a training for this. It's going to be available within the platform. I'm going to give you guys step-by-step instructions with like scripts and stuff like this. That's going to be maybe not available in the Facebook group. Maybe that will be within the platform. So some of the methods that we've used and have been successful for us is we use Craigslist a lot. We've relied on it heavy, and actually took a course on Udemy on Craigslist because we had issues at the beginning with things that were like our posts were like getting deleted, right? So I think it's important that you kind of like season your Craigslist account a little bit. If you guys are using this strategy, I know if you guys are outside of the United States, Craigslist may not be an option, but it seems like most countries have some sort of version of this. It's just a local service where you can kind of like list something locally. So what I mean by season it is like maybe have some real posts in there that are for your area, where you like post something up there. Maybe there's some like old stuff in your garage you want to sell or whatever. Like doing some of that seems to create more trust in Craigslist. So in my agency, we're using an account that was actually my Craigslist account, where I like sold stuff and like just random things that I needed over the years. And I think that's given us a lot of credibility, because I know people have gotten their Craigslist accounts suspended. Said this many times, when you are a business owner, your job is to solve problems, right? So if the problem is that your Craigslist account is getting suspended, then like figure out how to solve that, because it is a valuable asset and resource. Facebook groups are a big one too. So we've used that a good amount. We've also used Indeed. So Indeed seems to work really well in some cities. Craigslist seems to work well in some cities. So we kind of rotate between those. I would recommend that you experiment with things that are not always money. Like we went through some phases for this, where sometimes people seem to trust more if it's not just like cash, right? If I was like, hey, do this for like $50, like some people like instantly think that's a scam to receive a piece of mail. But if you said like, hey, I'll give you a $25 gift card to Starbucks if somebody can help me out with a favor, there's like a level, like something in the human psyche that people kind of trust that more. So I would encourage you guys to play around with that. When you're making these posts, what we do when we post on Craigslist is we'll post something. A lot of times we'll post for like pictures, like, hey, we need to get some photos taken. And it's important that you set the price in this so that you are, you want to weed out the real photographers, right? So if you set a price at like $50 or $25, then like real photographers are not going to pay attention to that, right? It's just, it's important, because this is like what you're going to do is when the person applies for this position, you say, look, sorry, we've already like filled that, but we can let you know next time we need some pictures. I also put into the post that you don't need like a fancy camera. It can be like just a phone, right? So once they reply like, hey, we don't need any more photos, we already have that done, but we do need is we need help establishing like some local presence, and it's just a few minutes of work, and we'll give you some cash. We just need a postcard to be sent. I think it's really important to cultivate these people. It's illegal for you to pay for reviews, I hear, but I've heard of people having success with like getting these people and then kind of like building that relationship and kind of using them and their family. So that might be something you look into. Okay, so Indeed, if you're making the post on Indeed, what you can do is you can kind of like ask for like a social media manager, make sure that they know that like this is like very part-time, right? So and then just say, hey, we're going to start you off with this. This is the task, and use their kind of like local network to help build that out. One of the things, if you have a client in place, I highly recommend that you build out a questionnaire within our system for collecting addresses. And if you're taking advantage of the pipeline system, as you move them from, am I still sharing my screen? Okay, cool. As you move them from like one stage to another, like you move them into the close stage, maybe you're moving from trial to close, it can automatically kick out that onboarding questionnaire. That's been huge for us, is the onboarding questionnaire, finding out about their business. It set us up for that expansion revenue that we were talking about earlier, is like, what other areas are they interested in that this website is not currently providing? So maybe, hey, they will do work in city A, or they will do work in like, Scottsdale, Arizona, but they would prefer like, they would really like Chandler and Gilbert and Tempe and these other areas that site is not serving. That questionnaire can help you identify that. And it is a great tool because if you have somebody that you've identified as a paying client, you can potentially go and build in those other cities that they say that they want, that are important to them. And then that's how you raise the rent on these people, right? There's really two different ways that you can do it. There's like, one, improve the rankings of the current site that you have, so you're producing more value for them. Second is to expand into more areas. For us, the clients that are paying the most, we've kind of done both, right? Our client that pays us the most pays us $13,000 a month. And this client, we've like expanded into all these different areas all over the place, right? So we found a client that's able to handle that, and we give them a little bit of a discount for like a wholesale price, right? But when Jeff started with the client success and he started building this relationship with this guy, he said, hey, I'm interested in these other areas. And we just kind of paid attention to that and we kept building, right? So really important. The second part of that questionnaire is to make a request for them to send out postcards, right? So you could be sending out two questionnaires, one to collect the postcard. So getting your clients to provide you with this stuff is important, right? If whenever you have a client there, you have a local ally, right? So you should definitely be taking advantage of that. All right, cool. So is everyone clear on that? Are you guys getting some value from this? If you are, throw in the chat some of your takeaways from this. What is new to you? Because I want to try to change this and provide what you guys want, right? And you guys giving feedback really helps us understand what that is. Okay, awesome. Michael is, Greg, excellent. Emmanuel, awesome. Good to see you in there, Emmanuel. Excellent, good stuff. I'm glad you guys are getting some stuff from this. Okay, awesome. All right, so the next thing is ranking the GMBs. Okay, so that stuff right there is kind of our playbook. And like I said, we're going to go into more depth within the platform once we kind of build in the actual training part of it. So I'm not talking about the training of like how the stuff works. Okay, so we have some stuff coming for that to improve that and kind of have some interactive walkthroughs and tutorials that we're building into the platform. But what I'm talking about is actually like ranking websites, closing deals, that type of training. So I'm going to build directly into the platform all the stuff that we do. So for the people that have, look, you guys are free to jump in this group and we'll give as much value on the calls as we can. But for the people that have subscriptions, you're going to get a lot of extra benefits to this training. So we're going to be building in this stuff, scripts with step-by-step instructions and walkthroughs directly into the training for those people that have those subscriptions. Okay, cool. So let me bring up my sheet here. Oops, things shut off. For you guys, like I'm somebody who I really like to write things down, and I just found this awesome thing called the Remarkable 2, where you can actually like write on, it feels like paper, and it's awesome. You got this little pen, and it's really great for kind of organizing things. I'm loving this thing. This is like my first week getting into it. I've been talking about it with my team nonstop. I think they're getting tired of hearing about it, but whatever. I love this thing. Okay, ranking GMBs. Okay. Steven says he's been wanting to get one for a long time. If you like writing, I recommend it. It just helps you kind of like organize. I take notes on webinars, books, all kinds of things. There's actually been a ton of research that shows that your retention is dramatically increased when you physically write things down as opposed to like typing it. So, taking that time, there you go. Greg showing his notebook, right? Taking that time to write it, and then being able to have access to it all over the place so that you can go back and kind of study this stuff, I think is key. And I've just been really, I was on the fence for a long time with this thing, and I just decided to give myself a little Christmas present. So, but loving this thing. Okay, let's talk about ranking GMBs. All right, so there's a lot of different stuff that goes into this. I know that JP is big on, he doesn't build the sites. It's been my experience. There's a lot of different ways to be successful, and Google is not saying, and even when they do say like, hey, this doesn't matter, like oftentimes it's been shown that it does. There's no like lockdown playbook where someone can say, this is 100% the way it is on every part of this. That's like, it's just, that information is not out there. Google's not making that public. So we're all kind of like taking our best guesses. It's my experience that the website contributes, and maybe the website contributes to the ranking of the GMB, right? So I've noticed that as our website starts to move up, the GMB starts to move up with it, and they follow it, right? So if you do everything else really well, then maybe like you don't need the website. So, but just from my own personal experience, I think getting a lot of good content on your website, building out backlinks to your website, and then having that GMB associated with something that Google values gives trust to it. This is all a game of trust and relevance, right? So one of the biggest things you can do for your GMB is to improve the ranking. So that includes having really good content on your site, content that's relevant, and not just spewing spammy keyword type stuff. Like, write for what the user wants, right? Don't write like you're writing to rank the site, but if you pay attention to what the user is looking for, so when you like do a search and those little questions come up in the search, a lot of those are telling you what they're looking for. And if you build your content that way, and you stop trying to like hack the system, try to like deliver value, you'll find that a lot of the things that improve the ranking of your websites, just as the dwell time, the amount of time someone spends on it, the bounce rate, like creating infographics with good information, your website, Google views your website as more valuable, and that's attached to this Google My Business. It makes sense that those would follow, right? So I think that is a very important part of this whole thing. The reviews, I think the reviews are huge, right? We've talked about a strategy for what I've heard some people do to get reviews. Just getting a review where it's like, great job. That's not what we're looking for. We want longer reviews, right? And we want to be mentioning keywords, and we want to be mentioning locations, right? Getting reviews from local guide accounts, it's common thought that that's more valuable. So if you have those, or if you have a way of building those up, then that could be an important strategy to this. But getting those and having it be consistent, right? What you don't want to do is you don't want to have like you have like 1,000 people, like maybe you have like a client database with 1,000 people in it, and this person has one review, and then you blast out an automation to 1,000 people at once. That does not look organic. So you might want to space those out with having 2, 3, 4 a week coming in and kind of like requesting those over time. So we're actually building that into our system. I'm not sure if it's live or not. I know that we were working on it and then we had some bugs, but you'll have the ability to essentially drip over time and say like, hey, I've got 1,000. I want to add 20 requests a day or 20 requests a week, we kind of give you that option to decide how you drip that into the automation. So it's kind of like, you've got the automation that's going to run, and maybe the first request will go out today, and then another one will go out in 4 days. And then there's like a third one that goes out a week, where you're making like 3 requests for this review. What I'm talking about is loading this stuff into that automation. So you could say, hey, I want to add like 10 to the automation per day or per week. And then like, here's the list that I want to add. And then these are going to get added into that automation. And like, so they're kind of like staggered. So, but that's if you have the client data, like you have like a database of clients. Otherwise, you guys need to find a way to get reviews because they matter. Like it is one of the most important things in my opinion. So find a way, right? You be the business owner. Like for some of you guys that look at me, or you know, some of these other people that have been successful with this business model, it wasn't luck, right? Maybe like some of us, we had certain things that were helpful towards our success, but ultimately what all of us have in common is this kind of like ability to just kind of like push through the pain and the frustration and just like keep going and going until you solve the problem, right? If you get that, you're not going to lose. It's like, that's in my mind, probably one of the most important things is just kind of like understanding that you're so many attempts away from it. You may not know what that number is, but if you just stay with it and other people have done it, and you also have people that are like coaching you that have done it, it's just a matter of time if you're just persistent with this, okay? Another thing that I think is important is the questions on Google My Business is you have the ability to post a question. So the question could look like, hey, do you do insert keyword in insert city that you're trying to rank for? I would look at the heat map, find out where we're weak and where we're strong for the different keywords, right? And then pose questions. And then you can respond to those questions with the keyword. So it could look like, hey, do you guys do fencing in West Bloomfield is like a city that's outside Detroit. You guys do fencing in West Bloomfield. And then you can respond as the owner is like, yes, we've done a lot of fencing in the West Bloomfield area. We've put up some beautiful wrought iron fence and like whatever it is you're trying to rank for. Chain link fence. You can mention these different things. This is the relevance part, is trying to like build the relevance between those keywords and your Google My Business, right? Okay, so photos, being able to add in your photos. Like I have a lot of hesitation around the idea that geotagging the photos helps. Like I know that a lot of people believe that, so I'll mention that. I'll tell you that we still do that. I have somebody trained on the process of like geotagging them. There's a big part of me that thinks that's a big waste of time, but I'm not sure, right? There's a lot of guesswork, and I'll take
100% a waste of time.
JP, you've got something to add?
Yeah, it's 100% a waste of time. So one thing that you can do is, if you want to kind of stay on the quote unquote white hat side of like reviews, is I've trained my technicians like, hey, when you're on site, like have the customer like snap a quick photo of you working like on their house. And when they write the review, upload that photo. So it looks way more natural. And most cell phones will actually automatically tag the actual location where you're at. So when she uploads or he uploads the photo to that review, it's automatically going to have all that work done for you. So you don't have to do anything. So
yeah,
it's just a little.
Love that idea. And like training them, train your clients. And one of the things that I would recommend is get your client, like enroll them in the idea of like, hey, you've already sold them on the business because they're your client and now they trust you and you're bringing them leads. So, and now you need to sell them again, and you need to sell them on why this is valuable. So what our pitch looks like to our clients is something like this. Look, these leads are all going to you, right? And there's really 3 things that are going to happen if we get more reviews. One, you're going to get more leads because this helps us rank better, right? And then I would go into like, this is how you want to do it. Mention the keywords, mention the city, include picture, videos. I think we're working on right now the ability for you to be able to post videos through the platform to your Google My Business. I think that's a feature that we're about to release. I don't know where we are with the development on that right now. But having that conversation. So that's the first thing, is it's going to bring more leads. Second thing is it's going to make your job easier to close. Like if you have ever, if person A has 3 reviews and person B has 700, like your job's a lot easier to close. And guess what? The third benefit is that you get to charge more. This is no longer apples to apples, right? If you guys are on Amazon or whatever it is in your country where you're like comparing things, and there's one that is a little bit more money, has a bunch more reviews. Like for me, I'm going with the better review almost every time, right? So these things are all like this is super beneficial for your clients. Once they understand, they don't know that unless you tell them. Like they probably have some like idea, but if you really kind of connect the dots for them, then like it's a no-brainer for them to do this, right? They're getting all the leads, right? You're going to close more deals. So, and then this is what you can do too, is incentivize them to say, hey, you should have a contest every month where whichever one of your technicians or the people on your crew get the most reviews, you give them some sort of reward. Maybe it's like a $50 Starbucks card. Like gamify this within your company and explain to them, if you create that environment with your clients, then the reviews are going to flow in, and you've got an automated system with our platform to collect that, right? So your clients can get access to this and trigger that review, and their technicians can get access to this too, right? So I think it's a great idea, and we've done that. We need to do more of that in our agency, but did you have more to add to that, JP, or did that pretty much? That's code for
No,
me.
that's pretty much it. Like the more you can kind of do like hands off, and it's like you almost have to kind of ingrain it into kind of more like training their staff how to ask for it. I mean, it goes a long ways. But that's probably the easiest way to do it, is just kind of telling their like text, like, hey, you know, while you're on the job, have the customer like have a quick photo, or and it usually geotags it automatically, even though Google does strip some of that information out. But when they actually tag it and upload it to the review, sometimes it does stay.
Awesome. Yeah. Really,
And actually,
really,
user signals are actually a lot better than self like done. So like Google actually wants them to do that.
yeah. So make it easy for them, guys, right? And educate them so that they know to do this. But that doesn't help you when you don't have a client yet. So in that phase, you need to find a way to get them. And, you know, one of the things that we are going to start doing in our agency is, like, I've mentioned this one several times, when you guys are closing people, like part of the close is this positioning, and you need to let them know that you have requirements. It's great for positioning if you say, look, we don't work with everyone, right? Look, they think that this is a pitch, and they're like kind of reluctantly coming to the table to listen to this pitch. You pique their interest in some way, and you kind of like phrase it like this, like, let's have a conversation, because what we do is it's not right for everyone. And, you know, we have some requirements on our end that we're going to need from you. Like we need help getting Google My Businesses, and we need reviews each week. We're the ones that are providing the leads that create the work for you. And when you close someone and you do a great job for them, you've created an asset, and that asset helps this thing snowball. So that's why we require that we get reviews from the work each month. Like, and you can say, hey, we've got like a quota that we need to hit each month, where it's like if you're in a high volume niche, you're sending a lot of leads, maybe it's more, but it kind of positions you well through the close, and then it sets it up as they become a client into, because like if you're making demands on them like this, that's not what they're used to hearing. And like, it might catch them off guard at first, but they're going to realize pretty quickly that, hey, this is not like the weenie that calls up everyone and tries to offer their service. I'm dealing with the ringer now. And the ringer, like if you're great at something, like if you guys have been around, no matter what part of your life, you've been around somebody that's exceptional with something, they have a different whole attitude towards the way they conduct things. They have a different walk, they have a different talk, so their body language with it is different. And you need to think about that when you're going for this close and positioning and starting to make some of these demands. And you don't want to do it like you're some kind of like authoritative dictator, right? But if you can kind of finesse it in there and let them know, and just like, hey, like let them know that you're not desperate for their business. Like I've actually said on calls, like I don't really need your business, but based on what you told me, I would love to be in business with you. If this can be a good fit, then like, hey, maybe we can find a way to move forward. So doing it with like a warmth and kind of like finessing it in there is great for the close, and it sets the tone for the relationship. Some of you guys get in there and these people are walking all over you like that. It's just like, that's not how it works in our business. I've shared the story a few times with you guys about, we have this guy outside of Chicago there, and he somehow through the conversation, he got my phone number and he kept calling me instead of Jeff. And at some point I was like, look, this is not how this works. I understand that you've paid the startup fee for these sites, and I'm going to give you a full refund, but this is not a good fit for me. Like it's not working. I'm running, I'm the CEO of 2 different businesses here. I cannot be having these conversations. I've got someone who's great at it. He says, hey, I want to talk to the decision maker. I was like, that's fine. You can talk to the decision maker, but we're probably not that company because we're bigger than that, right? I've got someone in place that I'm paying full time here to handle this, and then they funnel things up to me. So I'm going to give you a full refund, and I think it's best if we just go our separate ways. And the guy's like, whoa. I get it. Okay. I never heard from him again. It's been 8 months, right? Like he goes to Jeff every time now, right? That's how I wanted it. That was the relationship. I had to set the tone at the beginning because this was a pattern. They're not gonna get away from the rules that we set up here, right? So it's important though that you put some of that stuff in place, and you got to set the tone from the beginning. You got to do it in a really, really good way. Okay, cool. All right, let's keep going through here. Citations. We are kind of working right now on building in a citation system into the platform. It's a ways off. We're kind of doing it a couple different ways. There is, I'm trying to arrange a deal with someone, but we don't have that kind of inked in there. But citations are important. One of the places that we've gone in the past is Legit. So it's LEGIIT. And there's a number of different citation services out there. One of the big problems with these is a lot of them are not going to index, right? Google is kind of looking through these and saying, is this like real value to the internet? And if it's not, then they're not going to index it. And if you just like put the same thing like 300 times, then like a percentage of those, only a percentage of those are going to stick. So like we've had the experience where we pay for like 350 of them, and I think like 40 of them stick. But what's important is that you get some to stick, right? You get something in there. So so I don't want to go, Graham, I see your question there, man. I'm sorry, I don't want to go into the details of it, of what we're doing with who until we have anything in place. So I'm not going to, sorry, I can't answer that question yet. But getting the citations, that's an important part of this process. Don't neglect that and pay attention to what they are. We're going to, we like to pick a lot of fights, I guess, in our, with our software here. And we're going to be picking one with kind of like White Spark, I guess, where we're going to be competing against them. I want to have something in it that can tell us the amount of citations we have. I don't think we're going to charge anything extra. I think that's just going to be like an add-on service that's included. So we can kind of start to come up with like a GMB health score, and counting the citations and paying attention to that is something that is important. Post, that is another piece that you can do. I know that we have problems in our platform with the post failing. We believe we fixed that. If any of you guys have tried to schedule posts and they got rejected, then I would say give it another try. The rejection is going to happen a percentage of the time. If you kind of violate what Google wants those posts to look like, then they reject it and it doesn't go live. So I want to let you guys know it's not kind of like all on us to, like part of the decisions beyond us to decide whether the post is going to go live a lot of the times. But mentioning in there, that's another opportunity for you guys to mention areas. It's also an opportunity for you to talk about keywords, right? So I could say, again, sticking with that suburb of Detroit, Bloomfield, West Bloomfield, I could say like, hey, we have a special right now for West Bloomfield on like whatever fencing, blah, 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 right? So you kind of get the idea. You can schedule those out. They last about a week. So you can schedule those out like 7 days apart so that there's always one going live. We have that spin tax in there, so it can kind of like spin each post in there too. All right. I think those are the things that I have in place there. I know that JP mentioned on the last call that he, what did he call it? I can't remember what it's called. I haven't messed around with it too much yet. JP, what is that where it's like the reference? What did you call that? Are you still with me, JP? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, Google justifications.
Justifications?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned on, I think it was last week's call or 2 weeks ago, that you see a ton of value in those justifications, right?
Yeah, I'll just say I'm not gonna run through every single thing that I do, but I'm gonna hint at when Google comes out with a feature for GMB, there's a reason why. So use it
Right.
all. If they have something where you can do a post, you need to use that. So that's kind of like my biggest thing. Every time Google comes out with a new feature, it's there for a reason. Use it.
Yeah, pay attention, you guys. Read between the lines, right? Google is telling you that something matters. So like, that's a pretty in your face hint. You know, they're not going to come out and say, hey, do this to rank better. But when they do something, like take advantage of it, right? So
And
cool,
another
guys.
thing too, and the biggest thing, like Google, you got to think they're trying to keep users on their site as much as possible. Like they don't want a user to go to your website. So if they can put a little blurb like, hey, this website already mentions what you're looking for, you don't need to go to the website. Like that's kind of their way of telling the user, like we have all the information you need with us. Go ahead and call the number if you want to right now.
Awesome. All right, cool. All right, guys. We are just over an hour, trying to target an hour for these. It is almost 3 o'clock in the morning for me in Barcelona. Luckily, I have not switched time zones yet, apparently, because I feel wide awake right now. Do we have any questions on here? Jeff, have I missed anything?
I'm not seeing anything coming in.
Okay, cool. 2 requests for you guys. I would love for you guys to throw in the Facebook chat, not the Zoom chat, because we're getting ready to shut this down. Throw in the Facebook chat some of the big takeaways that you got on this call, if you got those. And then if there's somebody else that you are connected with that you think would benefit, maybe you had conversations through through your own connections, tag them in this video. We're going to start to push growing the group, and having you guys kind of like engage with that would, like, obviously we don't charge anything, we don't charge any monetary fee for this, but one fee I would like to start charging is just like share it a little bit. If you're getting some value from this, tag some people and let us know your takeaways so that we can get better at presenting this stuff to you guys moving forward. So you guys, we have just over 2 weeks left in the year. Like I said, next week we're going to be covering the plan, the year plan, and kind of what that looks like. I'm going to put together a worksheet structure. For those of you guys that are in accountability groups, you guys have 2 weeks. I know Steven and Shannon, you guys are in the accountability groups. I've been seeing you. I can't remember if Emmanuel's in one of those or not. Steven, I think I would love for you to just tune in. What has it been like? What are your big takeaways from the accountability group? Are you going to be doing it again when we started on January 1st? Are you going to be participating again? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be participating in the next round for sure. It's been immensely helpful for me. And I think it's, there's so many different rabbit holes we can get sucked down and all this type of stuff. So just setting goals that are pretty simple, quantifiable, and have other people, hold you to them and just kind of talk with them about strategy and what's going on each week. Really keeps you grounded, keeps you focused, and it has really moved my business forward in a way that it hadn't moved forward in a long time. So it's been great.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Are you hitting new high numbers right now?
Things are a little slower than I would like, but in terms of monetary stuff, but in terms of things like sending out GMBs, which is pretty much my largest hang up. Like I'm sending out several of those a week, which, in time is going to translate to money. So, that's been really big for me because that's just been a really big sticking point.
Awesome. Have you guys, the tone within your group, are you guys really holding each other accountable and kind of like, hey, like Steven, where are we with the GMBs? What's going on here? What's kind of that attitude been like?
Yeah, I think we definitely could be a little more stringent with that, but we definitely have been, pushing each other to meet our goals. A rising tide raises all ships, right? We're trying to all support each other and make sure, we're hitting the things that we're that we're saying we're going to. So
do you know the goals of the other people in your group?
I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I know a handful of them.
Okay, cool. So Greg, I see your question. How do you get in there? I'm gonna put a form that you guys can sign up. One of the things that I think I want to do is I want to have you guys rate the level of participation of the other people in your group so that we can, I want to position like leaders kind of within the groups based on how we performed in this accountability group, because one person who's really strong in the group can lift up the entire group. And it's important to have one of these in each one of these groups. We've tried to match it up by time zone a lot too. There was a lot to balance there when we were doing this, and it's a learning experience. Will we stay in the same groups? I'm not 100% sure. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I think it's great to build these friendships and stuff, but I imagine that a lot of you guys have created closer friendships within your current accountability groups than prior. And I think there's something to be said about, having another set of people in there too. So there's some pros and cons in that. And there's a ton, like, you kind of fall into a groove here and you get comfortable. There's like different people are bringing different things to the group, and you've learned a lot of that from your group. Now, like there's a lot of benefits to like maybe having that shuffled a little bit and having some new faces in there with some different strategies, different ideas, different energy, right? Shannon, talk to me. How has it been for you? What's your experience been like in the group?
It's been great. For a while, it was just two of us. Then we got a new member. So I think that 3 or 4 is probably good. I think more than that would take up, because we try to keep it to an hour a week.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about it today. We said it ended up being just 2 of us today, but staying, that we've learned a lot from each other. We hold each other accountable, and that, we enjoy being together. But we also did talk about that. If you always stay with the same people, you don't get that feedback from others. So maybe mixing it up a little bit, maybe keeping 2 and switching out 2 or something like that. And getting more than the time zone, to me, is people kind of similar where they are, and not just the years in it, because sometimes you could be matched with someone that's in it as long as you, but doesn't really know the process at all, or somebody that's only been in it 6 months and knows the process inside and out. So it's more, I think, where they are in the group, matching that well is really helpful. Otherwise, the group is always pulling someone along who kind of doesn't have any of the training, and you just
Right. That's a great,
saying,
I'm taking notes on that right now. So
saying, you got to do the training, That's what it seemed like. We had one person in a group, and that's all we were saying a lot, was you got to do the training. But that's been great, that we've all we've all been, we hold each other. They say, why didn't you do it? You're like, you got to do it next week. So we have been really good with holding each other accountable and learn. And so we usually do that first. And then we kind of talk about problems that we have, and we help each other on, one person in the group's working more on GMBs, and I'm working more on building a team to rank the sites. So, and we've actually been using each other. One group, I've been using him more for telling me how to get the GMBs, and I'm actually going to maybe bid out, and my team's going to do some stuff for some of his clients. So we're really building on each other as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you guys have some good momentum, and I've taken some notes here. So I think this will be valuable for me as we restructure some of this stuff. So
if you're in a group, do we have to sign up again, or will we automatically get put in one, or is there a place we have to sign up?
No,
again?
you'll have to sign up again, because I'm not sure like what percentage of people, like I can't just assume that everyone that's gonna sign up again, right?
Yeah.
Some people have like various personal things going on. It's definitely a commitment, guys. It's not like, but you basically, the strategy is you kind of like come up with, and this goes into the goal planning, right? So you come up with the things that are important to you and what you're committed towards doing to reach those, right? And there's a couple things that I've been kind of going through with some training here. I'm actually going to just throw this in today. I was going to jump off here, but I think there's some really valuable insight in here. Just give me 1 second. I was taking some notes on this earlier. Okay, so when you do stuff like this, guys, you got to think about what you're going through in terms of kind of like seasons, right? Where this is going to be like a sprint, right? Where I'm going to be like pushing hard, and some of you guys, like we can do anything. We really can if we put our minds to it. And what you need to think about is the cost that's associated with what you want to accomplish, right? Like if I wanted to build 10 websites in like the next 12 hours, I could do it, but what's the cost? I'm gonna have to stay up all night, right? I'm gonna like be finding other people to help me build these sites, getting like paying all this money, like that's the cost, right? A lot of you guys, you make these commitments to do something, and you haven't really calculated the cost. You haven't thought through what it actually costs, because everything that you do comes with a cost, right? So when the newness wears off, that's where the cost really starts to take effect. And that's why people quit, because you didn't think through what this actually cost, right? And some of this means you're going to need to communicate with your significant other or, your family. Like, hey, I'm making this commitment to do this, and you got to get on the same page. You can't expect your whatever it is. I'm going to go with significant other. You can't expect your significant other to just kind of like stay on the same page. And this is a lesson that I've learned. I went through a personal development course about 8 years ago. It was very valuable to me, but I did not prep my significant other for the cost of this. Hey, I'm going to spend a lot of time away from you, focused on this other stuff. She wasn't ready for that, right? And it caused problems in our relationship at the time. And it was a valuable learning experience, but you need to prep them for this and let them know, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is going to be the cost. And they're like, if you're going to make a big sacrifice, there has to be a light at the end of the table. There has to be like an end date, right? You can't just like have this, just like, hey, this is going to go on forever, right? There's going to be a time. So you need to make sure that you kind of get that permission, right? And that you guys are on the same page. So deal with it, talk to them, let them know. And that's a part of this, is like when you go through this, for the people that aren't really following through, they like you didn't accurately, there's a couple of things, maybe you didn't have clarity on what it would take to get there. So that's kind of like a lack of preparation and organization. You didn't consider the cost. Maybe the cost is that you got to sacrifice this to get this, and is it worth it, right? So I heard a really good quote. So we're getting ready to prepare for the next year, And one of the things I want you guys to think about is your priorities as we do this, as we start to come in up in your mind, what the next 12 months are going to look like. Ask yourself, if I do all this stuff and I accomplish my goal and I reach my goal and I die in December, am I going to be proud of what I did? And if not, then maybe you're not choosing the right priorities. And when you start to choose that right priority, then the cost is worth it. Right. So that could be like you want to make sure that you're spending time with the right people. Like, if this is going to be like a short sprint where you're going to make the sacrifice and you're going to be away from the people you love, there better be a reason why you're doing this on the other end, or like, that's not the right priority for you. Right. So I don't mean to like make this thing like gloomy at the end of the call here, but like, this stuff matters and you need to think through it. And like, the more clarity you can get on this and the better you understand the cost, and then you write it down and you've kind of got a plan of what you're going to do, better chance you're going to get there. And it's like, there's training that I was listening to today. They were talking about like the 2 questions. Let me find exactly how he had that phrased. It was really good. What is it like? You have this idea for your life. What does it look like? And what does it feel like? Right. So sometimes you have this vision of what it looks like, and you get there and it's like, this doesn't feel like what I thought it would be, and this isn't what I want. So there's a big difference between that, and you want to make sure that it meets both of it. Like, it's got to feel like you want it to, right? And that comes down to choosing the right priority, right? So all right, guys, hopefully you guys, I know that the chat looks like it's popping up on my screen a lot. Okay, important seer, save your call logs. Graham says you can't roar like Orion hanging out with gerbils in business. Thanks, Pat and Jeff. Thanks all. Yeah, appreciate you, Graham. I agree. All right, so you guys, hopefully I've given you guys some stuff to think about with this stuff. This is really important stuff. And as you build out this next year, and as you kind of contemplate this and go towards the end of the year, make sure that you're building things that matter. Think about the cost. And we're going to get into more of this next week. It's going to be a little bit more organized and formal. Just some of the stuff I've been working through, some of the stuff I've been thinking about. But you guys got a week until next week. We barely had any wins this week. I'm willing to reward people for their wins with different things, right? We've got we've done different giveaways. So like, do what you guys need to do. I know like we've got this week and then we're going to have Christmas. So like, it's almost like we have Christmas and we have New Year's, and maybe it's almost like we have 1 year or 1 week left in this year. That's like 1 full week, right? So this is that week. So you guys maybe make a sprint of it, depending on where you are. Make a big push. Let's create some wins for next week. And that could be just like, hey, I sent out like 10 GMBs this week for like Steven. That was one of the things he said he was struggling with, right? Okay, guys, you guys have an awesome week. Like I said, if you guys throw in the Facebook chat, if you like the big takeaways that you guys got from this, and if there's somebody else you think would benefit, just give them a tag. We appreciate you guys. You guys have a great week. And if we don't see you next week, have a great Christmas if you celebrate that. All right, talk soon. Everybody stay safe. Take care.